What's up, guys? Welcome back to Under One Roof. And today we are talking about a topic very relevant to all of us, and that is friendship. C.S. Lewis says it's one of the most misunderstood topics in our modern world. Most people critique it because they don't experience it. Today we're going to talk about friendship, why there's a problem of it, why it matters so much, and how can you grow in your skills and abilities to connect with people and enjoy the blessings and joy of deep friends in your life. Hey guys, welcome back to the Under One Roof podcast, where we're talking about discipleship and culture in the Christian family home. And we are back to talk about a subject that I think is going to be relevant both in how we parent our kids and form our families, but also in our own personal lives. And that is the subject of friendship. So this is a subject that we've been talking about a lot in our life. I think not because we're so wise and knowledgeable in it, but also because maybe God has blessed us with really good friends over life. And that's part of his providence in a way that's not always our doing, right? Mm-hmm. We've been blessed by friendship. We value friendship. We try to talk to our kids about friendship a lot.
And we've made mistakes and we've learned a lot, I think.
Yeah.
It's just a part of life that I think is so big, but is not talked about enough, I think. And you recently preached a sermon on it, and we just thought we'd expand on it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think one of the, Tim Keller teaching on friendship and C.S. Lewis's writings on friendship have shaped me for years. Mm-hmm. So I think, when we talk about friendship, a lot of times we maybe face the problem of friendship, kind of what we call. And that is, people might say, how do people think about friendship these days? A lot of times, maybe because we're in our individualistic culture and we're hyper atomized, every person has their own life. Every person's hyper busy. Mm-hmm. People don't see a huge need for it. And maybe sometimes if they do sort of see a need, they're hesitant to pursue it as a big priority in their life,
Yeah, I think there's culture and how people are treating friendship, and then there's the church. And I see such a huge spectrum of value of friendship. In our culture, everyone, like you said, is individualistic. So there's a lot of therapy. And I talk to my therapist, and that's kind of replaced talking to your friends about your problems. You go to your therapist because that's the acceptable avenue. Because if you're talking to your friends about your problems, then you're clingy and you're not respecting their boundaries and their space. So there's a lot of weird ideas around friendship,
even the rise of therapy. It makes me curious to look up why do we have why is the rise of therapy a thing? Is part of the reason for the rise of therapy culture a sign of the decline of friendship and genuine relationships in our lives?
Yeah, I think therapy has its place or whatever, but I think a huge amount of what happens in therapy in a healthy relationship should be happening in your friendships.
Yeah.
And it's where you're just a sounding board to each other and you're able to discuss your problems and all that. But in the church, I think some of the world's ideas have seeped in, and I do see a lot of individualistic, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing my life, so don't impose your needs as a person or your expectations of what a friendship is. Friendship has become only valuable when it's convenient. So, when there's a party or just holidays or birthdays or fun times, it's great to have a gang of people around you. But when you're going through something or when you're lonely, it just seems that it's not as valued. And then recently you preached on it at church, and the Bible has a ton to say about it. And actually, God values friendship a lot. He calls us his friends. So I think when we don't see it that way and we go through our life and we see our marriages as a priority, which they should be, and our kids, and that's our entire world, but we don't create any space for friendship or valuing it or pursuing it or building it in our life, I think is just a huge thing we're missing.
Yeah.
And certain phrases that we've heard people say that you said are not exactly friendship in your sermon. You said community. We use the word community. We use the word relationships, relationships in the church, but friendship is actually a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
And how did you define it exactly?
Yeah, well, I can't pull the definition right out of my head, but I think friendship is, so that's a really great clarification, right? Not all relationships are friendship, but I would say the essence of a growing relationship will deepen into some form of friendship, right? So when we talk about friendship, we can talk about degrees. There's not the same depth of friendship in every relationship, right?
Yeah.
And you can have family relationships, you can have love, romantic relationships, you can have acquaintances, people who you work with, people who you know well, but not all of those form into friendship. And also, the best marriage relationships are relationships that are not just based on love and attraction, but also deep friendship. The best family is not just family because they're family, they're here for you, but the best family is where you have genuine friendships, right? So friendship is, as a lot of kind of the ancient writers would say, it's the most important relationship in your life. And it involves, I'm getting to the definition, I think, a intentional and a deep connection of knowledge and trust, a mutual respect, and a mutual, I think, genuinely seeing a person for who they are. And it is a space where you don't have to try very hard to be something other than you're not. You don't have to worry about how you're coming across. It is a relationship of the type of trust that removes masks, pressure, expectation, and allows us to be who we really are. And it's a space where we are chiseled. It's where we're challenged, shaped, formed, you know? And I would say another piece of that definition, you know, we can talk about it later, is a connection, like a shared, just a connection that you have with a person, a sense of belonging to one another and a shoulder to shoulder about something in life, you know? So I think that the core of it is this deep sense of trust where you don't have to try to be something that you're not because you're not afraid of being misjudged or misunderstood. And getting there takes work. And so that's why I think when we talk about the problem of friendship, why is there a problem? What are the excuses people make? What are the reasons people give? I think we have a fear, you know, like C.S. Lewis talks about this fear of being left out of the inner ring. That's part of, so he talks about like, a lot of times we have this fear of being left out of the inner circle of something, whether that's your family circle, whether that's the inner circle of people at work, at church. You see people who are close together, maybe they're close friends, and you want to be in on that. And there's this fear of being left out and a desire to be included, but that desire sabotages your ability to form deep relationships. And it may form kind of a resentment and to say, you know, I don't need these people. I don't need anybody really.
Yeah.
And especially if you've been hurt by people, and I can't really, until you've been hurt, you can't really judge people who find it very difficult to trust other people.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, then that leads people to be kind of just close to themselves and not see a value in. Yeah, they only see danger in other people.
I think an aversion to friendship or building it could come from a place of like, well, you tried maybe when you were younger, or you've been burned by people, and so you protect yourself. You do self-preservation by saying, oh, I don't even need that. Like, I have my family, I have my spouse, I have my kids, and that's all my world. Which, if you have that, sometimes like in certain seasons, that's okay, and that's all you can handle, and that's fine. I just think the heart posture towards valuing friendship, pursuing it, building it shouldn't be an idol, which I think a lot of times it is, like this deep desire to be on the inner ring or like to be included. And when you're not, you're hurt and you're disappointed, and then you become like, well, I don't need that anyway. But a healthy posture of like open-handed value of it, pursuit of it, building up of it with the people in your life, but also not making it the end all, like it's everything. And when it doesn't go exactly as you hoped or wanted, or you weren't included the way you were hoping, then everything crashes down. Like there's just a lot that can go wrong. But when we become a culture, or like a church culture, that starts to just not value it, it's not even a word we use. It's almost like a bad word. Because it's like we're in community, we're in relationship, we're in Christian fellowship, but friendship is almost like this exclusive inner ring that we don't want to be doing to anybody because it's exclusive. It's going to hurt people's feelings. It's going to be very selective. And so we try to not use that word. And it's just what I've seen. And I think a proper appreciation and value of it in its proper place is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's this like two-sided people. On the one hand, they don't see any value in friendship. On the other hand, they want to be included and they don't want to feel left out. But even that, and these two are both like the enemies of really pursuing and valuing friendship in your life. Because if you really want to be included so badly, you're never going to really understand true connection.
Yeah.
Because you're too desperate for it. But I think, don't you think another piece is like just individualism? Just like people just like, I mean, I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
Like I do work, I got my family, got my kids, like
my life is
I'm gonna
full.
hit the Instagram reels in the afternoon, like
Yeah.
we're gonna go do something fun. Like, yeah, if people come along, if somebody invites me over, cool, whatever, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably there. And I don't know, I'm not omniscient, I can't see into people's lives, but at some level, we all want to have somebody that we could talk to, that we could trust, right?
We want that. I think everyone wants that, but it's almost vulnerable to admit that we want that. So we pretend like we're fine without it because we don't want to be people who are like, well, I want some friends. I don't have any friends and I feel alone. And that sounds very like humiliating. Yeah. It's like, well, actually I'm strong and I'm good. And I just think it's interesting from your sermon, how you pointed out that with Adam, he was perfect and he was naming these animals and God created a whole environment for him to thrive, but he couldn't find a companion. And so God actually had to bring a companion. And that was actually part of God's design, needing other people, needing companionship, needing to share life and share work and be shoulder to shoulder with someone was not part of the fall. That was actually part of his original design.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very interesting distinction. So when we find ourselves in our life having these aversions to friendship, having these excuses of why we don't need that, that's actually part of our sinful nature and our flesh coming out, because having the desire for friendship and companionship it's part of the original design. It's actually how God meant for us to be thriving.
Well, and some people might counter with that and say, well, no, because in the garden, Adam needed a wife to procreate. So, and like they whittle it down to that, which I think is a total oversimplification of like what's going on there, because God is triune and God speaks out of his triune glory and creates human beings in his image. And human beings, just like God, are both a singularity and a plurality. And you're not fully human without the presence of other humans in your life.
Yeah.
And the best of human experience has close connection with other people. And so I think that kind of moves us into talking about the value. Why is this so important? Well, I think, very briefly, we can say this is a big topic in the Bible. It's not like one of the biggest, like salvation or the grace of God or sin, but it's genuinely there. You see people like Jonathan and David who are like this massive portrait, like the authors of scripture highlight the quality of their relationship and their friendship in a huge way. Then you see the book of Proverbs, which speaks about friendship a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Highlights and the book of Proverbs basically says, and I'm like paraphrasing this, stealing it from Tim Keller, Proverbs shows us that friendship is essential, or I would say, in order to cultivate wisdom in life, we must pursue and forge healthy friendships.
Yeah.
Healthy friendship and the pursuit of it is an essential component of pursuing wisdom.
Yeah.
Because we pursue
Very
wisdom.
interesting.
Because we pursue wisdom when there are people in our lives, because wisdom is all about learning to live effectively.
Right.
And you can't live effectively if you don't have people in your life who you trust, who are truly in your corner, who are truly going to speak to you and say, hey, I mean, I think you're not living this part correctly.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't see this. Or just that mirror, that you're not just in your own head of your own ideas.
Yeah.
Because that's what forges you to become somebody, rather than you just being in your head.
Right. I think that's huge. I think we often talk about it. how if we were left to our own demise, just our own thoughts and the way our brokenness pulls our hearts in certain directions and our tendencies, we all have that. Every person has that. Friendship, well, good friendship, Christian, godly friendship. That's why it's so important to select really good friends, godly friends who are in alignment with your values, who love Christ, who want to pull you towards affections for Christ. Because there's bad friends who will pull you away from that. That's a whole other topic. But if we were left to our own thoughts and our own assumptions and our own tendencies, we would go so far astray. But when we, in friendship and godly friendship, share our hearts, share our thoughts, process with people, and kind of let them shape our minds, we get so much more wisdom and balance. I think sometimes things appear to us one way. Something happened in our life, something was a huge disappointment in our life, and we process with a friend. And they're like, well, I think you're kind of being this way. I don't see that. I think what you're missing is here's how God's providence came in. Here's his promise. It's like we get so much more balanced out and shaped just by another godly person processing our pain or our struggles with us. And there's so much wisdom in that. I think that's part of God's design.
Yeah.
Versus being alone, and when you have your own conclusions and you see life in one way and you're kind of living and you're like, I don't really need people, I have my family. You should be afraid of leading not only yourself but your family astray, because you need people in your life who speak into your life, and not just like authority figures like pastors or counselors who come and tell you when things are really bad, but just every day, like rubbing shoulders, like, hey, I noticed how you speak to your spouse isn't respectful, or how like or just encouragement when you're down. Like there's so much good friendship offers that is essential to like human flourishing and thriving.
Well, I think if I were to boil it down, it would be like character formation.
Yeah.
Like without my friends, I can't imagine how my character would be formed.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and of course, there's my marriage. But what makes our marriage powerful is the friendship that we have and the way we think together, right? Like at its essence, it's the friendship that makes it powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of marriages don't have deep friendship, and therefore there's two parallel lives. But without your friends, you're going to have malformations and deformities in your character because friends are the only ones who are not afraid to come close enough to tell you.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that you're not afraid to tell you, because you don't doubt whether they are here for you.
Yeah.
Like you don't doubt whether they're here for your good.
Yeah.
Right? We'll get into that in a minute, like qualities of friendship. But like because of that trust that at the center of it, it's why that's the relationship where you're not guarded.
Yeah.
Because you know these people aren't out to critique you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not out to misunderstand you. And if they misunderstand something or they have a question, they'll just say it.
Yeah.
And so that's the place where your character can be formed. Friends are the people where you can ask, dude, like, am I being crazy? Like, tell me.
Yeah.
Am I foolish? Am I prideful in this area? Or what am I missing? Like,
it's letting them into your processes, like the way you think. I think that is a posture. It's vulnerable, which is why a lot of people don't want to do it, because they're like, well, I'll figure it out. I have the Bible, I'll have prayer, I'll pray it out with God and I'll figure it out. But it's like, it's that posture of like inviting other people into your mental processes. Like, I just think I often find myself realizing that if I don't do that, I will be down a wrong path. And it's not like, oh, you don't trust yourself, you don't know. Like,
well, you shouldn't trust yourself, because the heart is deceitful.
We are so deceived by ourselves. So that's why we need to process with people who we trust, because it's essentially a humility thing. I don't know. It's like I value other people to speak into me, to show me maybe what I'm not seeing, and inviting that, because it's not going to happen if you're just doing your life and someone really to come in there and really tell you when you're not really inviting it. But if you're in constant habit of inviting, spending time with friends and being like, I'm thinking through this, or maybe I'm thinking through my life habits, or I'm thinking through the way I'm parenting my kids, or the way I treat my spouse, and whatever, in all aspects, you're inviting people's perspective in.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very helpful.
Yeah, I think you have to have this kind of conviction or maybe hunger. Like I need good, like as a man, I need good men in my life. I can't live without that. And I'm going to keep hunting and pursuing for that because it's a fundamental value in my life, both for the purpose of me, like being shaped, but also for the purpose of my enrichment. I just don't want to live my life as a solo lone wolf. Like that does not sound exciting to me. That sounds pretty wasteful, you know?
Well, don't you think that you can see the people who haven't had deep friendship, they become deep into their adulthood, they become a certain kind of flavor. They're very narrow-minded. They're very it's hard to get them to see another perspective. They're very like confident, and this is kind of their only way. It's like no one's really sat down with you over your life and really challenged you. No one's really, like, you can see people who they kind of morph into more of who they are rather than a wholesome person, a well-rounded person.
Yeah.
I think it becomes more and more apparent as we age, the people who have had a lot of people speaking into their life in a friendship rather than people who've kind of like been around people but not forged friendship.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you like working in healthcare, I interacted with a lot of elderly folks, and elderly people can be in one of two extremes. They are either very relational and wise and pleasant and warm, or they're really isolated and like
bitter and cranky.
Maybe not even bitter, but like non-relational.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to become based on the quality of friendships in your life. And I think the other piece to me is like, it's just where joy is. Like C.S. Lewis talks about, you know, the ancients valued friendship as one of the key virtues in life. And like in today's culture, it's not something we value for some reason. It's lost. Like if you talk too much about friendship, people start to think you're talking about, like, it starts to sound gay, you know, that's something C.S. Lewis had to confront in his, if you read the Four Loves, he's like, let's read about Jonathan and David. And then let's first of all point out that they're not gay. Like, and he says the fact that we have to point out that this is not gay is already a sign of the fact that we have lost an essential category to put this in. The only category we have of two people being very close is romance. We've lost this category. And so this is what we're labeling it as. And so but the point is, like, C.S. Lewis says, like, friendship is responsible for at least half of the joy in the world. Like if you understand, John Piper has this whole concept of like shared joy is multiplied. That's part of being human. So if you want joy in your life, you have to value, pursue, cultivate good friendships. So, and that kind of moves us to the next point. Like, okay, what are the qualities? How do we define and cultivate ourselves in it? Because I think what's a fact about all of this discussion is all of us, no matter who we are, all of us, myself, I just see so much over the years. You've reminded me, helped me see areas in my approach to friendship that I've been blind and weak. And how do we cultivate it? Where do people start? How do we become people who are more susceptible to receive good friendship versus people who are kind of closed off from it?
Well, I think you have to. Well, it starts with valuing it, the way we just spoke about valuing it. But when you value it, then you're going to pursue it, and you're going to make time for it, and it is inconvenient. Like the reward of good friendship is building it and being inconvenienced by it and putting in the work. And I think that just like you don't know what kind of person you are until certain qualities only come out in you in marriage, bad and good. Like you won't see yourself, and then certain things won't come out and you won't be cultivated until you're a parent. Like certain things I could only learn after I've become a mom, because then I saw the weakness I have. And same with friendship. Like I think we're just a lot quicker to give up on it because we're like, oh, I had a disagreement with that person and now, well, I'm done because we're done here, you know, even if you had years of friendship. But like you wouldn't do that in marriage, you wouldn't do it in parenting. So certain qualities of yourself and your sin tendencies and your self-preservation tendencies will only become apparent when you start to try to build friendship. And you're actually going to see how bad you are at it. And that's an opportunity to grow. And it's actually one of the best, like, self-development, sanctification processes, I think, in my life, in our life. It was, there's marriage, there's parenting, but then there's friendship. Like just how much we we're given the opportunity to like ask for forgiveness, learn, admit that we're bad at certain things, commit to trying to be better at certain things, like communication. Like in friendship, that's just the same thing. It's an opportunity to grow. And I think that's, you have to, even your reluctance to like prioritize it, like if your plate is full, you have kids, especially like homeschooling moms, like it's truly like there's not a lot of time in the day to like have friendship. And I think you have to be creative. I'm just speaking as like a mom. I think it's not so much about like every week we get together. Like sometimes that's just not possible in seasons. When you have a bunch of little kids and you're homeschooling them and you're trying to run a household, you know, cook meals and take care of the family, like there's just no room. And so friendship becomes like a third priority, which is totally fine. I think that honors the Lord, but still have it as something that you do keep in the back of your mind. Like I have those 2 other moms that I know are in a similar season. I'm going to just text them at least once a week, ask what I can pray for, check in how they're doing with homeschool. And then maybe like on Sunday, I'll see them. Maybe we'll hang out once in a while, once a month, what my friends and I do. I have a group of friends that we don't have a lot of opportunity to spend time together. So we do like once every 2 months, we'll do like a late night girls night where kids are in bed, husbands are at home with the kids, and we'll get together at someone's home and we'll just hang out, share life. And it's after 9 p.m. and we stay up a little later, but that's just like where we build that friendship. And then we have a group chat. We're texting recipes. We're encouraging each other, sharing some Bible verses, podcast episodes. It's just something that's not a ton of effort in the sense that we're not spending time in person, but we're staying connected. We're showing care. We're praying for one another. We're sharing prayer needs. And then when we can, we make it work in creative ways. And I have the same thing with like friendships from out of town. Like I have a very close friend that moved away 10 years ago, but we're still connected. There's apps like Marco Polo where we'll like do little life updates every few weeks on there, and she can listen when she has time. I can listen when I have time. It's just that heart of like, hey, I value this. And even though it's not going to look the same as friendship looked when we were in college and we had a lot of time and no kids and no families, it's going to shift and change through the seasons, but we're still going to stay connected. I'm still going to show care and love. And when we do get together, it's going to be such a sweet time.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you're saying is a commitment, like a willingness to put in the work.
Yeah.
Right? People are inconvenienced by sacrifice and they pull the plug too easily. And that cuts them off from the potential of forming deep relationships. So if you're in your life, you are easily if you find it inconvenient to show up for people and spend yourself on people, you will have a very hard time building any friendships in your life.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to put in the work and forge it. Even great relationships that can start need to be sustained. And again, like some of my closest friends have been out of town, like I live out of town. It's not like, but it's the willingness to value and then to put in the time to show up. You know, again, Tim Keller says, true friend always lets you in and never lets you down. For myself, having the quality of being a person who shows up for people.
Yeah.
And again, I obviously don't do that perfectly, but expecting people to be costly.
Yeah.
And saying, yeah, well, this is part of life, or people are hurt, or there's misunderstanding, or if you have to resolve something, like you have some tension with a friend, you like resolve it, work through it instead of, this is not worth it, whatever, just back away and just let it all sweep under the carpet. It's worth the work. People are worth the work. And I think it is in friendship why it's hard, because it forces us to work on our character and come back to those relationships and to sacrifice ourselves. It excavates our selfishness. It excavates our narcissism and our entitlement and our pride to show up for people. And you learn to become that person, then you'll all of a sudden find connections that you're starting to form with people that you're showing up to. Yeah. You know, a lot of people are like, I want somebody to call me. I want somebody to invite me. And they're just sitting there. It's like, but there's people all around you that are looking for someone to call them.
Right. I think that's a fruit if you haven't put in the work. And we keep saying put in the work, like put in the effort of building something. And I hear that a lot, like, I'm not pursued. I'm not invited. Or, maybe like a mom will have a baby and they're just like, no one's checking up on me. And I'm not saying that's not valid. But sometimes it's like, have you invested into anyone in your community where you've shown up, you've reached out to them consistently through several years, not just like once or twice, but have you like forged something that's lasting and they feel your care? That's like, don't expect to be like, I guess for maybe this might sound harsh, but like I'm trying to be like honest and direct. Like I think we've kind of like stopped expecting any invites. We stopped expecting. It's like if we want a social gathering, we're going to host it. We're going to make it happen and we enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like don't expect anyone to like hand you anything on a silver platter. Like if you want really rich relationship, be the one who's going to create the space, who's going to pursue, who's going to make it happen, and it's going to cost you sacrifice. And
well, the irony of it is if you become the person who wants to love on people, you will then find yourself to be the person that people like seek out and invite because everybody wants to spend time with the person who knows how to be around people and encourage them.
Yeah.
And I think part of this, another key feature is like encouragement, like be a person who encourages people. And that's a skill I've had to learn. That includes encouragement is again, maybe if I pause and like the wisdom of being a good friend is so multi-dimensional, right? So like embrace the complexity of it. And so there's many sides. So like another piece of it is like encouragement. Being an encourager takes the ability to listen, take in another person's problems, hear them and, you know, simple stuff like, wow, I'm so sorry, that's tough. I as a man, we get uncomfortable with other people's like heart.
yeah.
And so we like change the subject or we minimize it. But like be a person who's not afraid to enter that and be like, wow, hey, I'm so sorry, that's tough. Ask a follow-up question and encourage, be like, hey, it's gonna be okay, you're gonna do this. Like not shallow encouragement, not like pithy, but like genuine. Again, when you start doing it, you realize, oh, I'm not so good at this.
Yeah.
But a friend is a person who you have in your corner.
Yeah.
And if you become a person who's capable of just giving some really like choice encouragement, a person will feel like fueled. Their soul will be fed by you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's another one that's been huge for me. It's like, man, when I'm super down, I just want to hang out with my friends. Why?
Right.
Why? Somehow, being around them, I know that I'm going to relax. They're going to hear me. They're going to ask me how I'm doing. They're also going to speak some truth.
Well, you're going to feel seen.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge element of like, maybe there's people who like want to encourage everyone and want to be so encouraging, but they're like not really listening.
Yeah.
And then they'll just like keep inserting encouragements where it's like, you've missed me. Like I'm
like Hallmark.
I'm not saying that. That's thank you, but I'm not like my heart is right here. And I think that takes a lot of work and we're all bad at this. Like we all fail at it. Truly, like I failed a lot of times and I've had to learn a lot. And it's just like taking someone in and like sometimes just sitting with them and like processing what they're feeling without offering a ton of solutions or like, it's just a lot. And I think that it takes more work than people are willing to give. And then it's like, if you're not the type of person who's going to put it in, then you're not going to be the type of person who reaps the reward of like just deep, loving friendship through the years.
Yeah, I think people want a social space that's going to be encouraging and energetic, and they want to put in some effort. But then when they don't see immediate fruit, they like get discouraged. But I think that's the other piece. Friendship takes time.
Yeah.
Just give it time and keep being the person whose door is open. Give it time.
Yeah.
If all you want is friendship, you'll never get it. If you want people in their lives, and if you have a genuine interest and care in people, you'll have friendship.
Yeah.
You know, people who are super desperate, all I want is friends, you'll never have friends.
Well, and also like even, I think we mentioned this in previous podcasts, but don't expect people to open up to you just like because you asked a question, you know. Trust is grown with time. People will open up with time. Just keep showing up, love on people, especially when they're going through hard times. Like a parent has died. Like, I don't know. It's like, it goes without saying, but sometimes it's like these obvious things. Like if someone died in their family, like, and you know them somewhat well, it's the time to show up. You don't just miss it because you're busy. Like you come to the funeral, you come to the memorial service. You don't miss that. It's like
show up
life's
for people,
biggest painful moments and show up for their big blessings and their successes and just be happy for them and encourage them and I don't know, like see people, you know, see what their life is, and you're a witness to their life, and show them that you're seeing it. Pray for them when they're having a hard time, and then rejoice with them when they're having a great time. And then the other element, I think there's like a third section we wanted to.
No, that was, we're talking about like the qualities of a friendship. I think I would close with this. I think friendship is about like forming a connection. It's not just about spending time or having conversational skills and saying some encouragements. I think friendship happens when there's some sort of connection between two people that forms over something, a shared experience, a shared passion. Maybe it's you and another person who is a parent in their parenting life. I mean, in our stage of life, that's the big one, right? Maybe it's at work with a certain passion about a certain thing. But when you see people as this opportunity to know them and to connect somehow with them, you will have a heart that's open and interested in pursuing that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the other piece of patiently and hopefully looking at people rather than looking at them as an inconvenience, looking at them as a blessing and a source of enrichment in your life. And you approach them with that openness. And you will find that with some people, you will start to form this sense of connection.
Yeah.
And it kind of forms on its own, but it's also, like we said, it's got to be forged.
Yeah.
Consistent.
And it takes time, and it takes both parties like being willing and being open. And there's like a lot of like side trails we can go on. And I just wanted to mention like some things that like can kill a friendship potential that we mentioned is, there's a bunch of things like I think assumption, when we will see them have an off day and we'll assume and build a whole narrative about, oh, they don't like me or they acted weird. So it's probably like insecurity and assumption can like drain friendship when we're unwilling to like openly and honestly share our hearts because it's scary, because what if they reject me? And so we like have insecurities and then we project that on the friendship and we assume that they have certain thoughts about us, but they didn't. And so that is very like, be super watchful of your heart and kill that early on.
Yeah. It's impossible to have friendship with a person who's insecure.
Yeah.
Because they're always going to be worried about how they come across rather than just being genuinely present.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like a killer.
Right.
And so like if we struggle with insecurity and fear how people perceive us, how we fit in, how we look, how we sound, you gotta like face that part of yourself.
But also a lot of that can be a beautiful experience in friendship if you're willing to be vulnerable about it. Like there's insecurities that we hold and we're just going to assume and project that on the friendship, or we can come to our friend and say, hey, I'm feeling really insecure about this. Like I need you to speak life into it. I need you to speak truth because I know there's like lies I'm believing. And that can dispel a lot of tension because you're willing to like be open about your insecurities, because like we all have insecurities. Like to say like just work on it at home and then show up perfectly for your friendships. It's just like we're humans, we're sinners, we're flawed. But if you're willing to be open about your insecurities, it can actually help you build more well-rounded approach to your own insecurities, and it can strengthen the friendship even more because now the person actually said like, I don't think that about you. Thank you for sharing, because now I can speak the truth instead of the lies you're believing and all that stuff. So like, I don't know. It's a beautiful experience, I think. And I think the biggest thing is like Jesus calls us his friends. He uses the word friend.
Yeah.
That's like a huge thing that shows even more that God values friendship and that he uses that term towards us because he made a way for us to have access to him in that way.
Yeah.
Like he truly is a friend.
The ultimate ground and fuel of your friendship to others has to be Christ, because you know what he's done all that you need from others to fill your soul, give you the security and peace and love to be able to open yourself to other people. He's the only one that can enable you to become the type of friend you need to be. You can't do it any other way. You can't have the fortitude and the peace and the security of your heart to open yourself to people, because people are scary and they will hurt you.
Yeah.
But when you know the grace of Christ and his friendship, then of course that changes your posture. You come from a place of freedom and you're able to truly pursue people from a place of freedom that allows for their ability to sometimes let you down.
And they will.
For that not to destroy you.
And they will let you down, and they will hurt you, and you will lose friends, and you will feel all sorts of pain. That's the cost of like friendship. A lot of times that's the reality, but like he is that friend that will bind up your wounds. He will heal you. He's that perfect friend who you can run to and be comforted by, and that's his promise. And that's the beautiful thing, is that we think we need to protect ourselves when friends hurt us. We think we need to, but you have the ultimate friend that will never let you down, that will always, he has permanently let you in, permanently.
Yeah.
And that's just the beautiful reality. So I think friendship will cost you, but even in the pain, Jesus will never let you down. And he's that perfect friend that you can be filled by, and then give you the strength to go back out and be a better friend and forgive and to forge better friendships in your life.
Yeah, ultimately, like, we want somebody that's going to carry us. You know, the quote that I love from the Lord of the Rings, where, you know, Frodo they're on the mountain, they're almost there, and he can't go on. He's like wounded and he's powerless. And Sam can't take the ring from him because the ring is Frodo's unique burden.
Yeah.
And he says, I can't carry it, but I can carry you and it. And I think that encompasses
So
like
powerful.
the essence of what we want in a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You want somebody to carry you in your hard times. They can't carry your burdens.
Right.
Like, your burdens are your own. But to have somebody who's going to be there and carry you through it. And that's the power of friendship. That's why we want to pursue it. And yet, you also understand that the true friend who has done that for you is Christ.
Yeah.
He has carried you through your sin and your fallen brokenness and your rebellion. And he has made you new. And so it makes you want to be that type of person who can carry other people in their hard times. It makes you a person who seeks that in others because it's a huge blessing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know you have this friend, Jesus, who you come back to day in and day out, and you let him down a lot.
Right.
And yet he carries you.
Yeah. And actually, you might feel like I can never be that kind of friend, but you actually can with the grace of God. Like, I think often, maybe a last thought before we close, sometimes people's problems seem too messy and too painful, and they're like venting to you, or maybe they're sharing their life is shattered, and you're like, ugh. You know, there's some people who are just like, I don't really want to get my hands dirty with your mess. And they're just like, sorry, you're going through that. I'm out. I'm piecing out. Like, and that's such a painful experience to go through, where someone's just like unwilling to, because they're like, well, you have to go through this alone. Like, I can't help you here. Or maybe they don't say it, but they show you like, you're too messy. Your stuff is too much. I'm going to just back up a bit. And I think that that's so painful, and we should never do that to people. But I love that quote by Tolkien, how he says, like, I can't carry this for you. Just like in our life, there's things nobody will, like, it's our cross to bear, our problems. But friendship is what helps carry us. And that doesn't mean perfectly, but sometimes it just means showing up for people and being that shoulder they lean on time and time and time again through the hardest seasons. And those seasons might last a long time. Mm-hmm. I think there's nothing more painful than to feel like your pain, your difficulty, and your trial, it's too much for people. And they're like, it's too messy. I can't. I'm going to back away. Yeah. That's the worst thing you can do to a friend. And I think Christ never does that to us. So, like, we can look to him as an example and emanate that for other people too. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that's helpful to you guys. There's so much more to discuss on friendship. We can write whole books on it, you know, so much more things to learn about it. But this is a practical reality for all of us. Hopefully that gives you some things to work on, apply in your lives, discuss with your kids as they're thinking through what kind of friends they're picking. Thank you guys so much for listening, for watching. Let us know in the comments if what aspect of this has been new or challenging to you, specific ways that friendship has been important to you, why that's important, and maybe follow-up questions, things that don't make sense or things that you still are kind of lingering in your mind. We would love to hear. We will read all the comments and love to follow up with that. So thank you guys for being here, and we will talk to you again soon.